from honoring a Marine who threw himself on a grenade to save his fellow soldiers, and to a president who left the White House just before midnight to show respect to the remains of troops killed in Afghanistan.
And stood at attention, saluting as the flag-draped
to Trump traveling to France to honor a World War II veteran who had sacrificed so much for the country. Here are the moments when presidents pay respect to Marines, starting with a moment when a U.S. president showed respect to a group of Marines stationed in France. President Trump taking a moment to personally greet these young Marines shows just how much appreciation he holds for their service.
It's good to see you.
The moment may have been brief, but many in the comments poured out their heart. He has complete respect for our military. How can you not love this guy? God bless you indeed, Mr. President Trump, sir, from England. It's a small gesture, but it speaks a lot about the bond between a commander-in-chief and the men and women who serve under him. But how about a salute that marks one of the Army's most historic celebrations? This was the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army, a moment filled with pride, history, and tradition. And what better way to kick off a quarter millennium of military legacy? While the parade was going on, President Trump gave a sharp salute, one that honored generations of soldiers, past and present. A salute to those who gave everything. Presidents come and go, but when one truly shows respect for the military, it sticks. Sometimes it's not the speech or the rally, it's the quiet moments that speak the loudest, just like in the next video. At this moment, we see two Marines stationed at the door of Marine 1 waiting for the president to come out. It's a classic image of duty, but what happened next speaks to how much these Marines are valued. You've got to hand it to him, he knows when respect is due, and he doesn't miss the moment. Speaking of when respect is due, just look at what President Trump did in this next moment. While boarding Marine 1 in Maryland, the hat of one U.S. Marine was blown off. Instead of walking past like most might, Trump actually decided to retrieve the hat. Bending down to retrieve that hat is a big moment. Sincerely, this is how you treat your Marines. But what happens when a president forgets to salute a Marine? Former President Obama was seen boarding Marine 1 when he forgot to salute the Marine stationed at the base of the steps. He had a lot on his mind, but the second he realized his mistake, he felt terrible and returned to give the Marine a handshake of respect and honor. That smile on the Marine's face shows you how much that respect means to him. That one mistake in that moment has earned that young Marine a permanent place in the spotlight of great American moments. Meanwhile, that same emotional respect is seen again during one of the most powerful traditions in U.S. politics. This was the moment former President Obama left Washington, D.C., just after handing over to President Trump. While he was boarding Marine One, he gave his final salute to the Marines he had worked with for years and a final goodbye to the White House. Everyone in the White House stood outside and waited until the helicopter lifted. Talk about respect. It's a moment that reflects high honor and respect in U.S. history. But sometimes showing that kind of respect doesn't come easy even when the president is not in the best of health. Here, President Trump is seen returning from Walter Reed Medical Center after being sick for a few days. Even though he wasn't at full strength, he paused twice to acknowledge the cameras. Then, standing on the White House balcony, clearly out of breath, he raised his hand in a salute to Marine One and held it until the helicopter lifted off. It shows how much respect he has for the very people who protect him and serve beside him. This moment of honor says a lot about his character. On the topic of his character, just take a look at what he did in this next clip.
Built to deflect deadly shrapnel from above. Not bulletproof, but battle tough. Nicknamed the Pershing boot, on their feet was the M918, 1918 French boot. It was designed...
This was the 250th birthday of the U.S. Army and is a special moment in history. Every part of the Army was there, showing their pride and reminding everyone of the sacrifices they've made for the country.
To view the pride of Fort Sill, the U.S. Army Artillery Half Section. This is literally powered by horsepower and heritage. This elite ceremonial unit honors the legacy of the Army's horse-drawn artillery. With precision, discipline, and 6 majestic horses pulling a vintage 1918 caisson, the half section keeps tradition alive and rolling strong. Representing the power, pride, and precision of America's field artillery, this is Fort Sill's finest, ladies and gentlemen.
While the procession from different sections of the Army was going on, President Trump stood up amidst everyone to honor these selfless soldiers. A moment of salute to show how grateful he is.
Serve, it remains an enduring symbol of the 1st Cavalry Division's legacy and commitment to duty. The band performs Hit the Leather and Ride, a march composed by Captain Robert Meredith Wilson. This piece reflects the cavalry's transition from horses to mechanized warfare, capturing the speed, the resilience, and the tradition of the division. From Corcovado, Texas, everybody.
Every country has its own way of honoring its military, but this one felt special. The American military did more than just march. They told the story of the nation's history and the fallen heroes. And when speaking of fallen heroes, this next video might just touch your heart deeply. This moment captures former President Obama leaving the White House just before midnight to fly to Dover Air Force Base.
Marine One. After a 40-minute flight,
a few hours later, he arrived at the Air Force Base. A C-17 transport plane had landed, carrying the remains of 18 American soldiers who were killed in Afghanistan.
C-17 transport plane had just arrived there, bearing the remains of 18 Americans killed.
After meeting briefly with the families, President Obama, along with the relatives and several dignitaries, boarded the plane to welcome the fallen heroes home.
With their families, the president and other dignitaries boarded the plane to welcome the fallen heroes home and join a chaplain in a brief prayer.
What followed was a moment of deep respect after coming down from the plane. As the casket was carried out, Obama stood silently, saluting alongside others. The sorrow was clear on his face, a reminder of how personal this loss was to him.
Then the president and his group left the plane and stood at attention, saluting as the flag-draped transfer cases were removed, the solemnity of the moment clearly visible on the face of the commander-in-chief. This is the first time a president has participated in what is officially called a dignified transfer since the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan.
It was a powerful act of honor, but what can you say to a Marine who beat death itself and lived to receive the Medal of Honor?
But we are here because this man, this United States Marine, faced down that terrible explosive power, that unforgiving force, with his own body, willingly and deliberately.
Corporal William Kyle Carpenter is a U.S. Marine who was stationed in Afghanistan. He worked with his team to push the Taliban out of their stronghold and give local communities a chance to rebuild and take back control.
Drive the Taliban out of their strongholds, protect the Afghan people, and give them a chance to reclaim their communities.
During one mission, a grenade was thrown near where Kyle and his fellow Marines were positioned. Without hesitation, Kyle threw himself on the grenade to shield his friends. The blast left him with serious injuries both inside and out.
Kyle and Nick laid down low on their backs behind those sandbags. And then the grenade landed with a thud. Its pin already pulled. It was about to explode. And Kyle has no memory of what happened next. Other Marines in the compound looked up and saw it happen. Kyle tried to stand. He lunged forward toward that grenade, and then he disappeared into the blast. Keep in mind, at the time, Kyle was just 21 years old. But in that instant,
now, after spending 2 years in the hospital and going through more than 5 surgeries to restore his health, Kyle is standing among every dignitary to receive the Medal of Honor for his bravery and sacrifice. It was a moment that reminded everyone what true courage looks like, a Marine who gave everything and lived to be honored for it. And that same deep gratitude for those who served was on full display during a National Day of Remembrance. In this moment, Obama is seen honoring the U.S. military on Memorial Day at Arlington National Cemetery. He laid a wreath at the Tomb of the Unknown, a powerful symbol of respect for those whose names may be lost, but whose sacrifices are never forgotten. He also paid tribute to all the soldiers who made the ultimate sacrifice in Afghanistan. His words and the silence that followed carried the weight of a nation in mourning.
for many of us, this Memorial Day is especially meaningful. It is the first since our war in Afghanistan came to an end. Today is the first Memorial Day in 14 years that the United States has not engaged in a major ground war. So on this day, we honor the sacrifice of the thousands of American service members, men and women, who gave their lives since 9/11, including more than 2,200 American patriots who made the ultimate sacrifice in Afghanistan.
While Memorial Day is a time to honor the fallen, President Obama also made it a priority to stand with the living. Concerning standing with the living, Obama showed that when he visited the troops at Fort Bliss. These soldiers had returned home from operations in Iraq. The war may have ended, but the respect they received from their commander-in-chief was enough to put smiles on their faces. Obama personally thanked the troops for their service and sacrifice, reminding everyone why the U.S. has some of the finest soldiers in the world.
War and peace. But the one thing we don't argue about is the fact that we've got the finest fighting force in the history of the world. And the reason we have it is because of the men and women.
It was a moment of connection where a leader meets with the brave men and women who carried out the mission. But how does that moment compare to what another president did after his oath of office? This clip captures the scene just after President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris took the oath of office. One of their first official acts was to attend the traditional pass and review ceremony. In this ceremony, all branches of the U.S. military march in formation past the Capitol while military music plays. Normally, over 5,000 troops take part, but due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the numbers were reduced. Still, the symbolism was just as strong. As the troops passed, President Biden stood in salute, honoring their role in defending democracy. It was a day filled with tradition and respect. Just like President Biden, another commander-in-chief did something similar, but in a way that felt even more personal and encouraging.
The newest officers in the United States Army. I'd like to acknowledge the Army's leadership. General McHugh.
Here we see President Obama delivering an inspiring message to these young cadets who are graduating from West Point.
You are the first class to graduate since 9/11, who may not be sent into combat in Iraq or Afghanistan.
After the speech, he took the time to shake hands with each graduate, personally handing them their certificates of honor.
Jeffrey A. Morse, Jack M. Christopherson, David A. Blum, Vern C. Hutchison, Alexandra G. Sutherland, Jeffrey D. Westmeister.
For these cadets is a memory they'll carry with them as they step into leadership roles in the military. Now, our next video takes us deep into the heart of the men behind one of the most high-stakes missions in U.S. history. This is the elite Navy SEAL team responsible for taking out Osama bin Laden. To personally thank them, President Obama flew to their military base in Kentucky, a visit meant to honor their intelligence, precision, and incredible bravery.
Hello, Fort Campbell!
It's the kind of moment every soldier holds close. Yes, the mission was a success, but hearing their commander-in-chief speak directly to them is the kind of recognition that sticks forever.
I met with the first responders, the firefighters, the police officers, the Port Authority officers, who lost so many of their own when they rushed into those burning towers. I promise that our nation will never forget those we lost that dark September day. And today, here at Fort Campbell, I had the privilege of meeting the extraordinary Special Ops folks who honored that promise. It was a chance for me to say on behalf of all Americans and people around the world, job well done.
While honoring heroes like these is unforgettable, sometimes it's also the unexpected moments, like celebrating a football team, that speak more beyond the battlefield.
Does this get old? No, okay. What's more impressive?
This is the Navy football team. After winning a major competition, they were awarded a trophy. To recognize their achievement, President Obama showed up in person. A small gesture, but a powerful one. Taking the time to honor a football team is a commendable act, but what President Trump did next takes the show of appreciation even further. In this clip, we see President Trump stepping off Marine 1. After saluting the Marine at the step, he turns and walks over to thank the other Marines standing by. It's a simple moment, but it says a lot about how grateful he is for their service. Many times, this respect takes us beyond the US, like in this next moment where a world leader pays tribute to his own country's fallen heroes. Here's Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau visiting Vimy Ridge in France. He's honoring the Canadian soldiers who fought there and helped secure freedom over a century ago.
And continue to carry the legacy of those who 100 years ago.
He's marking 100 years since the armistice that ended World War I, standing on the same ground where so many lives were lost.
Through your bravery and your dedication to your country, you honor the memory of the young men who died right here on the battlefields of Vimy Ridge.
Now, that's something you don't see every day. The next clip takes us to another moment where Prime Minister Justin Trudeau arrives at the Peace Tower in Ottawa. This was his first time walking through the doors of the Peace Tower since the Liberals won a majority in the federal election, a moment filled with both ceremony and meaning. On entering the door, he took his time to shake hands with the officers standing at the door as a quiet act of respect. You could see the smile on the face of these officers, telling you how they cherish that moment. While that moment was filled with tradition, what happens next takes us to a different kind of tribute, this time in the streets of Paris. President Trump stands alongside French President Emmanuel Macron, taking part in the Bastille Day Parade, a symbol of unity and respect. The celebration marked 100 years since the US entered World War I. As they marched past, Trump stood in salute to history and shared sacrifice. It's a special occasion that honors those who came before and those who still serve today. And speaking of those still serving, President Trump did exactly that in the next clip.
Marching on this historic day, January 20th, 2000.
During his inauguration parade, just after being sworn in, President Trump gave a firm salute to the US military. A simple but powerful thank you to the men and women who serve the country.
You see them saluting Now, you see, the president never served.
That's a moment that shows just how much he values the military and the sacrifices they make every day, just like what happened in the next clip. This moment captured President Trump delivering a heartfelt tribute to a fallen Navy SEAL. His words not only honored the soldier's legacy, but also brought strength and comfort to the grieving widow sitting in the audience.
We are blessed to be joined tonight by Corinne Owens, the widow of U.S. Navy Special Operator, Senior Chief William Ryan Owens. Ryan died as he lived, a warrior and a hero, battling against terrorism and securing our nation.
It was a message of gratitude, sacrifice, and recognition, and it meant the world to the family left behind.
Ryan was a part of a highly successful raid that generated large amounts of vital intelligence that will lead to many more victories in the future against our enemy. Ryan's legacy is etched into eternity. Thank you.
While the applause was the ultimate moment of respect for the soldier, the next clip shows President Trump honoring the World War I soldiers in the rain.
Freeze! That! Freeze! That! Oh!
Each of these marble crosses and stars of David marks the life of an American warrior. Great, great warriors they are, who gave everything for family, country, God, and freedom.
This moment of honor came just a day after President Trump faced backlash for canceling a scheduled tribute at the Aisne-Marne American Cemetery in Belleau, citing rain. Despite the criticism, Trump seemed to correct the course, and honestly, that says a lot about him. Interestingly, a similar moment of respect plays out in our next clip. Here, Vice President Mike Pence visits the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier at Arlington National Cemetery. In a solemn moment, he lays a wreath in honor of the fallen.
Freeze! That! Freeze! That! Oh!
It's an act of honor that carries deep meaning, and that kind of honor leads us straight into another powerful moment in military remembrance. 70 years after Allied troops stormed the beaches of Normandy, President Barack Obama returned to that historic battleground to pay tribute to the veterans of D-Day.
And it will endure for eternity. Of the fallen, as if their tombs were our children's. And although I know we already gave them a rousing round of applause, along with all our veterans of D-Day, if you can stand, please stand. If not, please raise your hand. Let us recognize your service once more. These men waged war so that we might know peace. They sacrificed so that we might be free. They fought in hopes of a day when we no longer need to fight. We are grateful to them.
These were the men who fought for freedom at great personal cost, and seeing a U.S. president stand among them in honor made that moment unforgettable. While that act of respect is commendable, what followed next is even more telling. This clip shows President Obama paying tribute to men and women who died defending the country during the Vietnam War.
50th commemoration of our war in Vietnam. We honor each of those names etched in stone. 58,282 American patriots. We salute all who served with them.
In his speech, he acknowledged the pain many Vietnam veterans have carried, saying they were too often underappreciated and that neglect should never happen again.
And one of the most painful chapters in our history was Vietnam. Most particularly how we treated our troops who served there. You are often blamed for a war you didn't start, when you should have been commended for serving your country with valor. You're sometimes blamed for misdeeds of a few.
It was a message of healing, one that is long overdue. Similar to the next clip where President Obama visits, is marked with reverence and legacy. In this moment, we see President Obama laying a wreath at the Tomb of the Unknowns at Arlington National Cemetery, his final time doing so as Commander-in-Chief on Veterans Day.
Present! Present! Oath!
Honoring veterans brings a deep sense of pride, not only to those who served, but to their families as well. That's why every US president, regardless of party, continues this tradition, and President Trump was no exception in the next video.
Present! 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 Present!
That's what they are as great, great warriors picked up their mantle.
President Trump placing a wreath at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier is a tribute to the sacrifices made by those who never came home. And if you thought that was something, wait until you see what Trump did in the next clip. In this clip, President Trump travels to France to honor World War II veteran Russell Pickett, an American hero who stormed the beaches of Normandy.
The 29th Division's famed 116th Infantry Regiment had been wounded in the first wave that landed on Omaha Beach. At a hospital in England, Private Pickett vowed to return to battle. I'm going to return, he said, I'm going to return. 6 days after D-Day, he rejoined his company. 2/3 had been killed already. Many had been wounded within 15 minutes of the invasion. They lost 19 just from the small town of Bedford.
Pickett was just 19 years old when he landed with Company A of the 29th Infantry Division, the very first wave at Omaha Beach, a survivor of one of the most brutal battles in history.
Before long, a grenade left Private Pickett, and he was gravely wounded, so badly wounded. Again, he chose to return. He didn't care. He had to be here. He was then wounded a third time and laid unconscious for 12 days. They thought he was gone. They thought he had no chance. Russell Pickett is the last known survivor of the legendary Company A.
Then the president offered a rare display of emotion by hugging the old veteran. This moment is what his family will never forget. Whether it's a hug, a handshake, or simply a salute, these moments show us the sacrifice these Marines go through for the safety of the country. And across borders and generations, the respect for those who serve remains one of the most powerful unspoken truths of any presidency.